Our next speaker is Elena Canadelli, and she will talk about PHAIDRA, a key resource for the history of science. And Elena Canadelli is Associate Professor in History of Science, and she's interested in visual studies in science, science museum studies and cultures, of collecting natural history objects in the 19th and 20th centuries. She collaborates with the National Museum Leonardo da Vinci of Science and Technology in Milano with a project on the history of the museum, and she's also associate editor at Nuncius, Journal of the Material and Visual History of Science.
Thank you, Suzanne. Do you hear me correctly? So, okay, super. Good morning, everyone, and thank you a lot for inviting me this morning at this amazing roundtable. So, thank you. It's a chance to share my experience and projects with PHAIDRA at University of Padua. So, along the years, I will share my presentation. And so, I briefly introduce myself. As you already told, I'm an historian of science, particularly interested in the history of the natural sciences of the 19th and 20th centuries, in the visual and material aspects of science, and the history of scientific museum and collection. So I teach history of science in my department here in Padua of historical and geographical sciences, as well as natural history museology at the biology department for students from the natural sciences. So my point of view today in this round table is not of a person who works in the marvelous libraries and archives and museums of the University of Padua, but more of a researcher interested in studying and enhancing the historical and scientific heritage of our university. And today I want to share with you how I got in touch, I knew PHAIDRA, and how I've been using it for my research, teaching class, and dissemination projects. As historian of science, I consider myself very lucky to work at the University of Padua, because founded in 1222, the history of the University of Padua is in fact tightly connected with the history of Western science. Just to mention only a few well-known names, along the centuries, here were active figures such as the anatomist Andrea Vesalius or the physicist Galileo Galilei. Moreover, William Harvey, for example, became famous for describing the circulation of the blood studied in Padua. So a very important place. This rich and significant story still lives in the relevant cultural and historical heritage preserved today at the University of Padua. Among the others, the Botanical Garden, created in 1545, the Anatomical Theatre, inaugurated in 1595, the many collections of its scientific museums, from zoology to physics, from paleontology to medicine, its scientific libraries, and rich archives, very much linked with the history of science. So from the Renaissance up to the 20th century, the cultural and scientific heritage of this university, the University of Padua, is indeed impressive. Beyond the well-known historical collections of museums and libraries, we have also to keep in mind that university scientific heritage can be found in every teaching and research department and laboratory of our universities. In the latter case, sometimes it could be dispersed and vulnerable because of the lack of awareness, internal procedures, policies, or qualified staff to provide for its selection, preservation, and accessibility. So in both cases, whether we speak of more institutionalized collection or of forgotten scientific collections of documents, books, objects, I think that using PHAIDRA is a powerful tool to enhance this heritage inside and outside the university community. And indeed, as you can see in this slide of PHAIDRA on page, many of the digital collections now available of books, documents, and objects available today in PHAIDRA deal with different areas of science, from engineering to geology, from physics to zoology, from botany to medicine. So a lot of projects ongoing on, past and present of PHAIDRA deals with history of science, deals with this kind of subjects. And as I promised, this talk is a bit autobiographical, so to speak. So I promised to tell you how I first encountered PHAIDRA, and that it's in my role of researcher. So as a researcher, as I already told you, I'm pretty interested in the visual aspects of science, studying images, photographs, figures, things like that related to science. So it was around 2016, and navigating the web, I came across a huge collection of portraits of botanists named Iconoteca dei Botanici. You can see in this slide, available on the website PHAIDRA. And so I got in touch with this collection, and I got in touch with this website named PHAIDRA of my university that in truth I'd never heard until that moment. So I started to study it, and now I'm still working on this topic of the Iconoteca dei Botanici, the collection of botanist pictures preserved at the library of the Botanic Garden of the University of Padua, and it was assembled at the Botanical Institute of Padua by the Italian botanist and mycologist Pier Andrea Saccardo between the 19th and 20th century, and consisting today of around 2,153 portraits of Italian and foreign botanists. So it was thanks to PHAIDRA and the restoration and the digitization of these documents from the Padua University library system that I could learn that my university preserves such an amazing collection, and that it's how I could started to work on it. So PHAIDRA, the first point I want to stress, is an amazing tool to do historical research for me, for history of science. But this is how, this is the first point I want to stress. More recently, due to the current pandemic situation, I've started to look at PHAIDRA also as a teaching tool. I have to say that unfortunately students of the University of Padua do not seem yet to know enough PHAIDRA, or almost not at all. And this is a great pity, I think, since I see great potentialities in it as a teaching tool. So you have spoken about big data and teaching. So I think also in enhancing and studying this kind of heritage digitized through PHAIDRA is an amazing tool to teach to students, and all students, I think, should know that PHAIDRA, what PHAIDRA is and what stays in PHAIDRA. So I hope in the future it will be possible. Last spring, as many of us, I was forced to teach my course of History of Science only online in the Zoom platform. So libraries, museums, archives were all closed. We all were forced to stay at home. And that's why I decided to use for the first time PHAIDRA during my lessons in order to encourage students to get in touch with digital repository like PHAIDRA, learning to explore these tools in an independent manner. So they were free. The task was that to choose digital objects the many, the huge collection of PHAIDRA. So just pick up one object related to the history of science, learn a bit about it, so a aria or wall charts or a book or a letter, stuff like that. And so learn a bit about it thanks to the captions available in PHAIDRA, and then interrogate, ask questions to these objects, specifically 3 questions aroused by this object. And here you can see, for example, in 3 examples of this task. For example, so learn to navigate and make the right questions. So 3 questions regarding history of science, starting from a digital object chosen by the students. This was a sheet of the herbarium of Giovanni Marsili, director of the botanical garden during the 18th century. And the 3 questions was, did Marsili follow the Linnaean system? For example, what data could we find on an herbarium of the middle of the 17th century? Did Marsili work alone or in group? So all these questions were aroused by the digital objects. And you can see 2 other examples from 2 students. I'm sorry, they're written in Italian, but so it's as you can see, all the students told me, but the material is too much in PHAIDRA. There's so much to see, to follow. It's like a labyrinth. So they are very impressed, very struck by the quantity of materials, and also the exercise was really the first task to choose the object and then to ask questions about it and about scientific practice related to them. So I think, as I've already told you, that PHAIDRA, as we have in Padua, so with all this collection, historical collection of objects and materials, had great potentialities in teaching. And I'm thinking, for example, to one of the best projects in this field, that is the Darwin Correspondence Project at the University of Cambridge, focused on the archives and the work of Charles Darwin, but they have amazing projects, learning projects for students of different age and also for university to reflect about these digital resources, primary sources, that is letters, books, collection. And so I think this, speaking about the future, so I think these kind of things will be very important for a platform like PHAIDRA, and to involve more and more professors and students of the university. That is, from my point of view, very very important too. So as I already told you, I was involved in 2 projects of PHAIDRA, and the first one is this one regarding the biological wall charts at the biology, preserved at the biology department of the University of Padua. And when I got in, sorry, so yeah, when I got in, the project has already started, and it included recovery, conservation, restoration, digitization, and enhancement of these materials in PHAIDRA. So these wall charts were used to teach natural sciences between the 19th and 20th century, and during the second half of the 20th century were no longer used by students and professors and have been forgotten, so to speak. Some of them, as you can see here, are printed material. So some of them were hand-drawn in Padua from anonymous students and assistants of the university at the end of the 19th century. So there are many of these wall charts. Of course, also other scientific departments at University of Padua, like physics or geosciences, preserve this kind of material. So I was directly involved for the biological wall charts because I teach at the biology department. I collaborate with the biologists more, but there are really more. There are really a lot of this kind of objects, and so, for example, my task during this project was to select 100 of these wall charts and drawn wall charts, so the best, so to speak, in order to let them restore, digitized, and available in PHAIDRA. So I worked together with the library system to choose that, thinking at natural science students, but also the general public. And you can see here in this slide some examples of this material. They are all available now in PHAIDRA, in the collection of the biological wall charts, so you can navigate them. Regarding this project, so we organized also an exhibition in 2014 on the occasion of the inauguration of the new building, the Fiore di Botta, for teaching for the at the biology department, and the building was by the well-known architect Mario Botta, and so this was also a project of conservation, preservation, digitization, restoration that also has a very important output for dissemination, for example, and students that inhabited, so to speak, this building today love to see this kind of material. So I think it's a good example of collaboration and of different aspects linked to what we can do also through and thanks to this kind of things and PHAIDRA in these regards. So the second project is ongoing, still ongoing today, nowadays, and that involves PHAIDRA, is a project regarding the archive of the botanical garden in the Gardens Library, so at the University of Padua. And this project involves the library system of the university, but also the archives area, and of course all the people involved in PHAIDRA and the digitization of the material. And so the completion of the project is scheduled for the end of 2021. So we want to be ready, so to speak, for the celebration of the 800 years of the University of Padua, so in 2022. And so the core of the project was and is to make available all the archive, so the documents of the archive of the ones preserved in the library, to all scholars and general audience through PHAIDRA, thanks to a collaboration with the archive area. So the project involves inventory, so because it was the first thing to do, so inventory, thanks to the archives area of the university, and then now is ongoing the digitization of these materials and the implementation of the way to translate data from the system used by the archive area and PHAIDRA. So also I think from the technological point of view, interesting. And then also this project, and then make available on PHAIDRA all the documents, so open free access for all scholars and general audience. And this project involves also a part of this project includes also an attempt to enhance the work already done by the library system and PHAIDRA staff to make more visible books and documents and images already digitized and available in PHAIDRA. And we are working on a website also, maybe hopefully in collaboration with the communication area of the botanical garden. So we hope in 1 year to to give you to have good news about this project. So to conclude, I think, and I want really to stress this aspect, that collaboration is the key. So I think that these two projects I was involved in, but I think so it could be also a general assumption, demonstrate and clearly show that for projects like that, so that deals with cultural, historical, scientific heritage of university in this case, collaboration is the key. Collaborations between libraries, between archives, between museums, but also between scholars, teachers, and students. So I think that the key for the improvement of tools and platform like PHAIDRA, as it is at the University of Padua, is to collaborate more and more between different areas of expertise, so to speak. So museums, libraries, archives, but also encourage professors and teachers to use this kind of collection, digital collection for their teaching, so at university, but not only, as the Darwin College project clearly demonstrates, for research, because you can assess the material, and in this pandemic era, we can appreciate the importance to have access to primary sources as historians, but also in collaboration with the dissemination, the general audience, or that it's outside our community and want to see and learn more about the story, in my case, related to the history of science. So I really hope that in the future it would be possible to collaborate more and more, so with different areas of the university with different aims and use, but I think this is a very important point to stress again and again. So thank you, and yeah, I give the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Elena. Thank you very much for your insight in your research and also in the beautiful collections of the University of Padua. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
So I'm happy.
And thank you also for the warm words about collaboration is the key, I think.
Yeah, it's the magic word for me.
Yeah. Very nice. So, do you have any questions for Elena? Please use the chat or the micro, or also the Slack. I think they're all impressed. From
Oh, no.
Beautiful wall charts and
yeah, there's so much to do that really impressive heritage, impressive materials. So I think what has been already done is impressive, but the potentialities I see, they are also impressive. So.
Karl Radmaner wrote, I'm actually exploring your PHAIDRA instance. Karl, would you like to talk with us? You have a very nice user interface. So very cool. Very nice. Lorisa is also here. We cannot hear you.
Everybody.
Morning, yes.
And I thank you a lot, Elena Canadelli, for this amazing speech. And I want to point out two aspects. That I am a librarian who has been working in PHAIDRA for 10 years. So I know very well the Iconoteca dei Botanici, that it was my first digitization project. And I think I want to point out this. When we work in PHAIDRA, we look at two things, high quality digitization and rich metadata. That is important. And for example, in case of the Iconoteca dei Botanici, we present the botanists, but also the objects that are historical photographs. So what we present is also the historical photographs. So the kind of historical photographical process and the quality of these images. And also this way we try to enhance our cultural heritage. And also I want to add that PHAIDRA is connected to a software we use for digital exhibitions. So we try to present, to enhance our digital cultural heritage through PHAIDRA and through Movio, that is the software we use with for digital exhibitions.
Thank you, Elisa. Thank you very much. So you will also talk a little bit later about your PHAIDRA at the University of Vienna, PHAIDRA of Padua, sorry. And yes, thank you, Elena, very much. Thank you for your talk.